Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sea.
Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from right here in Upton, Robin L. Fletcher. And Robin is our Veteran Services Officer. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
We finally are honored to have him on our show today. And boy, has he got a lot to tell us about veteran services. A lot of veterans, right, Robin, are not completely aware of a lot of the good things that are out there.
Many of them don't realize that there are benefits out there for them. And part of the job that I do is help them, explain them to them, determine whether or not they qualify for benefits, and if so, help them get into the benefit program, whatever it is.
Robin was in the Navy. Now, Robin, what eventually, years you had later, got you interested in helping out like this?
To be honest about it, I was just retired, and I went into the senior center, and somebody there said, you know, we really need somebody to be a shine counselor. And so I became a shine counselor. And after I became a shine counselor, they said, you know, really, we need somebody to be the veteran service officer. And I said, well, I don't know much about that. And they said, you'd be perfect for it. And so they roped me in.
They got you.
About 10 years ago, and I've been veteran service officer in Mendon and in Upton.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of men and women who have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I know. And most of the time, people have been out of the service long enough that they don't realize that they may be qualified for benefits. And especially for programs at the state level, which we have, and at the federal level. So there are two different kinds of programs, and each has their own requirement and qualification. But for the most part, really what it comes down to is if you are someone who is in need, we're there to help you.
We're right there. What are your hours, Robin?
Typically, my week runs from 1 to 3 on Monday, from 9 to 11 on Tuesday, from 1:30 to 3:30 on Wednesday, and from 1 to 3 on Wednesday, and then 1 to 3 on Thursday.
Now, Robin brought a great piece of paper here with some fantastic questions. Veterans and widows, you may be entitled to reimbursement of your medical expenses if you are unmarried veteran or unmarried veteran or unremarried widow or widower of a veteran with an income of less than $20.10 a month and combined assets of less than $5,000 with no whole life insurance policy, or you are a married veteran or married to a veteran and your combined household income is less than $22,707 per month with combined household assets of less than $9,800 with no whole life insurance policy. Boy, that's a mouthful.
Well, the reason for that is if you had, say, term life insurance, for example, that doesn't count as an asset. But whole life has a cash value, and so that's important to be considered because it is, a person can always retrieve that money from their whole life insurance policy.
Sure.
But the important thing here is if their income is such that whether they're married or not, in combination, it exceeds the roughly $2,000 for a single person or $2,700 for a married couple, and their assets are under $9,800. For a single person, it's $5,000 asset limit. But if that's the case, then typically they may be qualified for benefits.
All right, so one way or another you had to be married.
No,
No?
you can be unmarried,
Okay.
still single,
Unmarried veteran, okay.
okay, or you could be widowed.
Mm-hmm.
And we also incidentally cover widows of veterans who have passed away. So what we're doing is helping them to be able to survive without having to go into welfare or other kinds of programs because they earned a benefit there.
You may also be entitled to financial assistance. Tell us about that.
Okay, in some cases where individuals' income is below $1,000 a month, okay, we assist that person to bring them up at least to the federal poverty level, and then some beyond that. For example, we will pay for their medical benefits, such as if they're in Medicare, we'll pay their Part B premiums, we'll pay their Medigap plan, we'll pay for their prescription drug plan, and we'll pay the co-pays for those prescriptions, and that gives them a big step forward because they only have to, what we're doing is reimbursing them, but they only have to pay it out once, and then after that, we just reimburse.
It's a good thing you're here because you know what? This is complicated. To you, it's probably not, but all these numbers being shifted around and this.
And this is just state benefits.
This is just the state.
Okay, the federal benefits are a whole different picture. Federal benefits usually derive from a person who's been in the military during time of war. At least one day must have been during a time of war. They have to basically have been either injured or, if not injured, they may be eligible, for example, to get into the VA healthcare system and that sort of thing. So it's a very important benefit because it saves a lot of money, even though, for the most part, they're really encouraged to have other kinds of health insurance just to protect themselves in the local level.
The home you live in, no, the home you live in and one vehicle are not counted as assets. That's good.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, a lot of people misconstrue their assets in a situation like this because even, for example, in Mass Health, they don't count your home. They don't count your car because those are basic necessities. Okay, but for some people, especially where you have in the federal programs, they have asset limits that run roughly about $80,000. So you can have an asset level of about $80,000, and they will weigh in whether or not you're qualified based on, or whether or not they think you can actually pay for your services rather than have them provide them.
So in other words, somebody would contact you, and you would take their application and forward it to the Massachusetts Department of Veterans Services.
Right.
Now, do you meet many people who come in and they don't qualify, and you have to say,
You know, the way I do it is I raise the flag and see who salutes. I don't make judgments about whether a person's qualified or not. I let that decision be made either by the state, where all this goes to, or by the federal government.
Right.
And they have mechanisms built into their qualification programs that will allow for example, excessive medical costs and those kinds of things. So if we can prove, for example, and I have a case like this, where a person has an income that's actually more like $2,800 or $900, but because they are in need of what we call aid and attendance, I'm filing with the federal government to see that their medical expenses will bring their income down to well below probably what they earn even, because they're taking out of their savings to try to supplement it.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do in this situation is explain to the federal government that this person is in need of a pension, and in the case of aid and attendance, they are in need of assistance with what we call activities of daily living.
Mm-hmm.
And so those activities of daily living are the kinds of things that determine whether a person is qualified.
Robin brought a lot of, this is some of the things you have to keep track of in all your
Well,
daily-
this manual here
Oh,
includes a lot of benefits that people might be qualified to receive. These are all federal benefits here. I have another book here that really relates mostly to the state benefits. So you can see there are a lot of benefits out there. And some of the benefits are things like burial
it'll take care of
benefits, or some in the federal programs you have home loans, you have school educational programs, you have all these various programs that the VA actually pays out money to individuals.
But how would
to
a
go to
veteran
school.
qualify for burial?
Well, first they must have been on active duty.
Active
Duty
at any time,
at any time.
yeah. Vietnam or even further back.
And as long as we have can show that they were a veteran, basically they have a discharge.
Yeah.
If a person is helping a family or somebody who has a death in the family, and they can show the DD-214, they are entitled to full military honors.
Yeah.
They may get a small amount for sort of like your Social Security. Social Security only
yeah.
pays you $255. Well, the VA only pays $300 unless
my
you die
God.
in the VA hospital.
Oh my God.
In which case they may bury you for
What do
more.
you think? Gosh, we're talking with Robin Fletcher, and he is our Veteran Services Officer here in Upton. Before we go any further, Robin, how can they reach you?
Well, you can either send me an email at rfletcher.uptonma, all one word, .gov, or you can call me at 508-529-6713 and 23, I'm sorry.
If you're not there, is there a
23.
message? Can you give a voice?
I don't call myself very often, but
Can you leave a message if you're not there?
they can leave a message, and I encourage that because I will return the call.
Yeah.
And we try to make sure that if it's an emergency or anything like that, we get back to you as quickly as possible.
Robin, why, it just bothers me so much, why are the benefits, we were just talking about burial benefits, why for our veterans are these benefits so small? Why?
Well, first off, when you're talking about federal benefits, you're talking about a program that has to actually go through Congress to be approved.
Mm-hmm.
Many of these benefits came in during World War II. $300 to bury somebody in World War II was probably a lot of money compared to what it is now.
Well, talk about 8,012 now. Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And in order to get that changed, literally takes an act of Congress, as they say. In the case of state benefits, we will actually pay for the burial of an individual, but we cannot exceed $2,000, which is very low also. And the total cost of the funeral cannot exceed $3,000. So this is kind of a problem because a lot of funeral homes
Yeah.
charge a lot more for that.
What do you think, what are a couple of the most, I don't want to say the word popular, but happen the most often questions when people come in to see you, Robin? What do you face the most often with our vets?
Well, my experience has been that most people are just fishing. Okay, they're wondering if they're qualified.
Sure.
If there are benefits that would meet some specific need they have, whatever it is. Okay, so what it comes down to is I just interview them and try to get an idea about what their experience has been in the military, because it's important that if we're looking at federal benefits, they have to have been in during time of war. And for state benefits, they don't necessarily have to have been in during time of war or even in a war theater at all. But they need to be able to show that they were on active duty at some point in time. And and that their discharge does not indicate that there was a dishonorable discharge. Other than that,
Yeah.
we do what we can.
And it could be anyone from Vietnam to,
Well, I have World War II veterans still. I have some Korean War veterans. We have quite a number of Vietnam veterans, but they're all beginning to get to that point where they're in need of assistance.
Yeah.
And won't be long before we're going to be challenged to get care for a lot of these people who are reaching 70s, 80s, and 90s.
You got a lot of the baby
So-
boomers coming up that were, back there during the Vietnam.
Right? I'm one of them, So,
Yeah, it was, if you could change anything, how helping our veterans, what would it be, Rob, that you've seen that you'd just like to change?
well, I honestly see the predicament that most people face is when their parents or they themselves become so incapacitated that they need help either to stay in the home or to go into a nursing home. And that is critical because of the sheer number of people that are getting to that point. The Vietnam era is just now almost 70 years old at least. I'm almost 75. I'll be 75 next week. So I could tell you that this is a big problem, and the sheer number of people that are in need of assistance at that point and beyond is overwhelming. So if I had my choice, I'd say anybody that was a veteran would qualify to get at least some kind of aid and assistance, aid and attendance if they need it in their home, or if necessary in the nursing home.
I'm sure there must be a lot of veterans who don't even realize that there's help, right? What help there is, right?
Well, it's interesting because I was in a session up in Leominster last week. They were talking about the number of veterans who have retired from the military who don't know that especially for reservists, don't know that their retirement kicks in at age 60. All they have to do is apply for it to get the money.
It only at 60, right?
Right. And then at 65, if they're qualified as retirees, they're eligible for TRICARE for Life, which is a free health care system, and it's as good as it gets. So the fact that they were in for at least 20 years and didn't understand that this was a potential for them is kind of mind-boggling to me. But
when they come to you and they
Happens.
wonder if they're eligible, does it matter the amount of time they were in, or did they have to be at war?
they must have been at least 90 days in service.
So in service meaning not necessarily at war?
Not necessarily war. They could be, I was in during Vietnam. I was in when the Gulf of Tonkin incident occurred, and I never left the United States in that 4-year period that I was actually on active duty in the military.
Okay. So it doesn't matter, at least you've been in 90 days doing something.
That's right.
90, and then you qualify, because should come in and see you because you qualify for something.
If you qualify, we're going to figure out what would be the extent of whatever benefits you might be entitled to. So, for example, if, let's say, a person was homeless or had no other resources, we would work out an arrangement for them to receive state benefits initially and get a place to be, a home, wherever. And then after that, we would work on what other benefits they might be qualified for.
I didn't know this, and I bet there's a ton of people who didn't realize this. So come in and talk with Robin. Robin, again, what are your hours at the town hall?
So I'm at the town hall on Mondays from 1 to 3, on Tuesdays from 9 to 11, on Wednesdays from 1:30 to 3:30, and on Thursdays 1 to 3. Part of the reason why I'm later on the Wednesdays is because I'm a Shine counselor also, and I help man the Shine Center in Milford, which covers the whole Worcester County region. So it's a longer day for me.
Do you know, Bill, do you know,
Ed Roth?
yes.
Yes.
You know Ed
I
Roth.
work for him.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's a
he's a gruff guy.
yeah. He's a what?
A gruff guy.
Yeah, you know, he you know, there's yeah, definitely. He's like, we're gonna get him done, you know, that type of thing.
But you know what? He knows the material, and that's important.
Were you originally from this area?
No,
You were in Florida a long time, I know.
I was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts area. Okay, in Acushnet. And my father was a chef, so we went south and back and forth for a few years and
You ate
finally
well.
stayed down there.
You ate well, right?
Well, you know, he was cooking where he worked.
Yeah.
And we were at home, so we
You
ate what
really-
we ate.
And then you stayed in you were down in Florida.
Yeah.
You were an you went to college after the service. You went and became an engineer.
I became an engineering technician for the Florida Department of Transportation. And then I went over to another agency called the Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund. Try putting that on an application.
Yeah.
And I became an environmental land planner, so I worked with the whole state of Florida and all the public lands that the state owns and manages. And then after 15 years or so of that, 20 years roughly, I moved up to Massachusetts and worked for the Environmental Protection Agency for 25 years as a computer specialist. Totally different field. I completely
Yeah.
re-educated myself.
Yeah.
And
So what's next for the next 25 years? Besides this? What do you think?
I think travel is in the scope of
Where are you
my
gonna go?
plans.
Where you
Well,
wanna-
I've done a lot of traveling, but my wife and I like to get out and just go to places we've never been. So we've been to places like Ecuador and Costa Rica and all around.
Have you been up to Scotland, England area, you know?
Yes.
My parents went there. How about my father and mother were on the wall of China? They got pictures
Really?
and stuff of the wall of China.
Well, that would be my choice, but I don't know whether I could convince my wife to fly that far away.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, I don't fly. I don't.
It was tough to get her out to Hawaii, so.
We'll take the boat, right? Take a boat, a cruise. Thank you so much. Robin Fletcher, Robin, again, they can reach you at what over there at the town hall?
You can email me at rfletcher at uptonma, all one word, .gov, or you can call me at 508-529-6723.
We're lucky to have you, you know. Veterans
Thank
out
you.
there, get in touch with them. Don't sit there and wonder, because there might be something there for you, and I think you might be really need it, right?
Right.
And you even help somebody who's homeless and who's having a tough time. Boy, I'm all for that. That's
Exactly.
terrific. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next time with you, I guess.